Good morning. I will explain the outfit, which I'm sure needs no explanation because Sunday is going to be a huge day in this house. We hope. But first, let's get to the topic of today, which is the state of your union. Now, of course, I hope you all watched the President's State of the Union address. It was interesting. And all presidents, all State of the Union addresses start out the same way. The state of our union is strong. But how's the state of your union going? On a personal note, I think you all have seen my shows by now or read my blogs about how our state of the union is going. It's not going very well. I told you about the downfall that the bottom coming out from under our lives that happened at the beginning of this year when my husband lost his job. Not because there was no work, not because there was no projects to be done, not because he was a bad employee. He didn't show up to work drunk. He didn't not show up to work. The reason my husband lost his job and income was because he was too expensive, apparently, for this particular company. And let me just be very clear. The people that my husband worked for directly with the company he contracted for, they wanted him. But the people above them said, nope, we want to go cheap. We're going to go to India. Now, just a quick refresher on what my husband actually does. He's a web developer. And as a web developer, he has to know code. Now, some of you are like, oh, well, okay, so what? Well, if you think you don't need a web developer, then if you're watching my show, you are sadly mistaken, because the reason you're watching my show is because of someone like my husband, a web developer. And code, for those of you who don't know, is a language. It's like learning a foreign language. Okay? There are a lot of different code languages right now. I am most familiar with SQL Server and Cold Fusion because that is what my husband is the most knowledgeable on. But he has now had to educate himself on other code languages that some companies want when they hire a developer or a contractor to develop websites and develop applications for them. When you go to a store and you buy a product, how do you think the product got on the shelf? How do you think that the manufacturer of that product knew it was time to restock the shelves? Well, a web developer built an app that tells the manufacturer, this company is going to be out of Nestle Toll House morsels. We need to deliver more. Web developers do that. When Facebook or YouTube or Twitter goes down for a bit, or a website that you're on goes down, guess who gets the call? The web developer. The site's down. Fix it. They have to fix it. Whether it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning. They get the call. Fix it. The site's down. We can't afford to have the site down. Imagine going to a job interview and being told that the requirements are you know Spanish, French, German, Latin, Greek, Russian, and Arabic. You got to know them all. You have to be fluent in all of them. Web developers now have to be fluent in all these different coding languages. It's not easy to do, which is why they make decent money, and they deserve the money that they make. You know, I hear all the time that doctors deserve to get paid well because they go to school for 10 years. Web developers don't stop going to school. Web developers have to continue to learn. We talk about Windows 10 and their constant upgrades. Well, there's always a new computer coding language to be learned. And a good web developer has to be fluent in all of them, because they don't know where the next job offer is coming from and what language they're going to need to be fluent in. So they have to know all of them. When my husband is not working and earning his wage, he is studying. He's taking classes online to learn new languages, to make himself more valuable, a better employee. That's how my husband rolls. So it is very insulting when all of a sudden, after Donald Trump is saying America first and keep American jobs in America, that us of all people, we lose 6 weeks of income because my husband's job was given to a foreigner who will never spend one dime in America, will never pay school taxes or real estate taxes or buy a product which requires him to pay sales tax in America, will never pay income tax in America. But he's working for an American company, an American-based company, and he took my husband's job. So that kind of screwed up the state of our union. It really did. Now let's talk about health insurance, health care. We all know Obamacare didn't work, and we know why, because I've told you why. Because everybody didn't participate. Especially some employers, some corporations refused to give their employees health care or provide proper health care, like birth control. We talked about that yesterday. And so what ended up happening was the healthcare system decides how much you pay based on your income, your salary, which isn't fair. And we talked about this last week. Say person X makes $100,000 a year. That's before taxes, before expenses, before they pay their mortgage and their car payment and their insurance and their bills. But that $100,000 is the number. And for some reason, the way that Obamacare has worked this is the more money you make, the more money they think you can afford to pay for health insurance premiums. And then, unfortunately, they raise your deductible. Now, I want to tell you something that a viewer brought to me, Sherry. She's a great viewer of this show. She's also a good friend of mine. I haven't seen her in a while. We'll have to make that right, Sherry. We'll have to get together. But Sherry gave me this scenario, which I use often. And maybe some of you, especially my new YouTube subscribers, haven't heard. If I go to a store to buy a pair of jeans, and my friend Sherry goes to the store to buy a pair of jeans. Now, Sherry, her husband is awesome. He makes $150,000 a year. And I make $40,000 a year. Sherry and I are going to pay the same price for those jeans. If those jeans are $20, Sherry's going to pay $20, and I'm going to pay $20. Sherry's not going to pay $50 because she makes more money. That's fair, right? How come health insurance isn't like that? How come when my husband and I get a health insurance policy and my neighbor gets the exact same policy, only my neighbor has 2 children, so they're insuring 4 people. My husband and I are insuring 2 people, me and my husband. It's the same company. Say it's Capital Blue Cross. I'm throwing that out there. We're both buying Capital Blue Cross health insurance, right? We're buying for 2 people. They're buying for 4. Okay? Why is it that my husband and I are charged double than my neighbor with the 2 kids for the same policy? Okay, my neighbor makes $50,000 a year. My husband makes, I don't know, $70,000 a year. All of a sudden, because we make more money than my neighbor, we are told that we should pay more for the exact same product than my neighbor. That's not right. And before you put your thumbs out and start bitching, I'm not saying that my neighbor with his 2 kids making less money than we do should pay more. I'm saying we should pay what he's paying. If you are buying the same product, you should pay the same price, regardless of how much money you make at your job. I can't go out for dinner and take another couple with me and say, well, we're going to split the bill here. My husband and I make X amount of dollars. They make X amount of dollars. So we're both going to get the filet mignon, but they're going to pay more because they make more. We want a discount because we don't make as much money as they do. That we would be laughed out of the restaurant. It can't work like that. And I'll be really honest with you on this one too. I actually think that someone with 4 people being insured should pay more than my husband and I don't care what your salary is. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. I also don't think it is right that I am being charged double in premiums because I use legal tobacco products. I smoke cigarettes. So what? In 35 years, I have never been to a doctor for an ill visit. Never. Not one time. Not one time. Never been to the ER. Never had any health-related issues that can be contributed to smoking. So why the hell am I being charged in advance for something that won't probably ever happen to me? And if it does, so what? You've already been collecting my premiums for 35 years. Bank it. Because I never use it. I never use my health insurance. This is what bothers me. This kind of crap. And when you look at the state of our union, and you look at the divisiveness in this country, and it seems that all I keep hearing about is dreamers. Well, one thing that the president said last night that I agree with is Americans have dreams too. We're dreamers too. And we would like those dreams to be realized. We are willing to work hard. We are willing to work the extra hours that we don't get paid for. We're willing to get the education we need to make the good money. But we need to have employers willing to hire us and not take our jobs to India or to Russia or to China. We need to think more because all I hear about is immigrants, illegals, people who are here and broke the law to be here. And that somehow Democrats think they're more important than me and my husband. Well, I have a bone to pick with you. They think they're more important than the Puerto Rican American citizens down there who still have no power 9 months after the hurricane. I don't think it's appropriate for the Democrats to be saying that these so-called DACA dreamer kids are more important than our Puerto Rican citizens with no running water and no electricity for 9 months. That's deplorable. I promise you that if Florida or Texas hadn't had electricity and running water for 9 months, there would have been a shitstorm. But for some reason, we've forgotten about our Spanish-speaking Puerto Rican citizens while we're trying so hard to protect those who snuck into our country illegally, whether by choice or not. I have a problem with that. I also have a problem with the Democrats who worry more about people who continue to have children they can't afford, and that somehow that's my problem, my husband's problem, my friend Sherry and her husband's problem, that we are supposed to give up our hard-earned money to support them when their parents are completely healthy, able to work, but refuse to. They're more important than me and my husband and my friend Sherry and her husband. That's wrong, and it pisses me off. And what else pisses me off is that even though the Republicans have the House, they have the Senate, and they have the White House, they still can't seem to get anything done because they're acting like children. The entire Congress, along with our president, by the way, are acting like 5-year-olds on a playground. In fact, I'm sorry, 5-year-olds on a playground act better because they get into a fight and the next day they're best friends. They're hugging each other and loving each other and going to each other's birthday parties. But our government right now is so determined, and this happened with Obama too. Anything Obama said, the Republicans said, no way. But the problem is some of what the Republicans are putting out here, the Democrats actually used to like. But now, because the Republicans want it, the Democrats are like, nope, I ain't voting with a Republican. No way, no how. Talk to the hand, Grandma. And they're doing this at our expense. Our expense. The people who pay their salaries. We're the ones whose unions are not as strong as the president alluded to last night. Sure, some people are doing well. And eventually my husband and I will make up the 6 weeks of salary somehow by cutting back, by not spending money out there in the community, by not contributing to the economy. We've cut back. We don't go out to eat. I haven't been purchasing books or anything that is, to me, a luxury. So we are cutting back on contributing to our community by spending money out in our town because we have some money to make up that we lost. 6 weeks worth. It's going to take a while. That's a problem. It's a problem for our community. The whole point of earning a good living is that you go out into the community and you spend your luxury money. And when you don't have any luxury money, guess who suffers? Your small businesses, your restaurants, your clothing stores, your hair salons. I canceled a hair appointment when my husband told me he was not going to have any income for the near future. I canceled a dental appointment because it was not a necessary appointment. And I stopped buying things. I didn't buy any books. Big book buyer, but I didn't buy any books. I didn't use my credit card. And we didn't go out to eat. And that hurts the economy. The more of us there are, the less the economy is going to grow because we will not be able to do those luxury things. So how is the state of your union? I'd like to hear from you, my viewers. Let me know if you believe that the Trump presidency has helped you, that you are actually doing better now, a year in to the Trump presidency, or if you are struggling to pay for health insurance, to make a good living wage. And if you agree with me that anybody who can work and needs to should be working, even if it's a lower paying job. If you have children to support and responsibilities to fulfill, you can't be turning to your neighbors, to people who are willing to get up every day and go out and work long hours so that they can help support you. No. See, we need our money. We need our money for that rainy day, like what happened to us January 1st. We need our money to plan for our retirement because, again, as self-employed people, we have to pay for our own retirement. We can't count on Social Security or a 401k from the corporation that's going to help us out when we retire. We don't have pensions. So, see, we can't afford to pay for your mistakes. We can't afford to pay for you to sit around and collect a welfare check and food stamps and play with your Xbox and talk on your iPhone that we paid for. We can't afford that anymore. So you're going to have to go out and get a job for a change and support yourselves. Now, I got to get to it. Show's going long, but fly, eagles, fly on the road to victory. Soar, eagles, soar. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our eagles fly. Fly, eagles, fly, on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Kick those Pats right back to New England where they belong. Political Paula's out.